Hi there, creepy robot voice. We'll be hearing it every day. So, okay, now I'm being recording this, so I'll put the recording of it on the Canvas site, and you'll see it later. Okay, to navigate the Canvas site, the modules link was where we'll be doing most of our work. City Zoom is how you get to here. Obviously, you got to here. He's got there. The inbox here is how you will send homeworks and quizzes and finals and extra credit sets to me, and I'll respond in due course. Theoretically, I've told that the discussions I'll link is how you can discuss with each other. However, it's only not that often that people use it. I have noticed that people use the chat feature on the as well, uh, as will I in a moment. City Zoom, and Canvas Inbox. Here's a somewhat old video you can click on later. Here's my name, Nathaniel Hellestein. If you want to email to me, well, like I said, there's the inbox, but there's also this campus inbox. I don't recommend it because there's so much other stuff coming in all the time that if you send stuff into here, it might get lost. In the inbox, it won't get lost. Here's a phone number. It's a message phone. Leave a message if you wish. We'll be having Zoom classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. by Zoom. Um, we also will be giving by Zoom a office hours from 11 to noon. I have some issues about how you can access to it. I'll have to ask the administration about some details. We'll be covering graphs and functions, trigonometric functions, the algebra of trigonometry, solving triangles, which is finally actually triangle measuring trigonometry, and a little bit about polar coordinates and vectors. Ah, yes, textbooks. Well, okay, I have a slightly obsolete textbook, the 10th edition. Fortunately, the bookstore is still selling it because it still exists, so this is what I assign for textbooks. Sullivan, Trigonometry, Units Circle Edition.
Yeah, I have a little question. Can I just because right now I have this book is the same, but it is the 9th edition.
The difficulty with different editions is that the material is the same. It's math, but the problem sets they assign can be somewhat different, and that's annoying. It's possible. It's probable that there's a copy of the 10th edition in the library, so you could go there and Xerox the necessary homework sets. That is an issue. I personally think the textbook market textbook marketing is a scandal, way overpriced, and they constantly change editions for trivial reasons. But yeah, no, 9th will give you the material. Well, it'll be interesting for you to review, but it unfortunately probably won't give quite the right problems to work on. Like I said, you maybe can Xerox from the library's copy.
Okay.
Good point. Thank you for asking. Oh, a side comment. Yes. Thank you. You've illustrated one point I really think is important. Online teaching has lots of nice advantages. Like I say, for example, in the modules, you'll find basically all the written material you will need. Here's the syllabus, here's the homework, here are lecture notes from every section. Here's a quiz. I haven't opened that one yet. I'll open it up shortly after we finish chapter 2. And here's quiz 2 and more notes and extra credit sets and the final. So everything you need to write down is available on the Canvas. And here by Zoom, we're talking to each other face to face, or more or less face to face, without the danger of exchanging any viruses other than computer viruses. But it's harder to. I encourage you for you to interrupt, to ask questions. This is very important. And it's something that for some reason it's easier to do in person than here online. But it's still, physically possible if you ask questions. So please do so. Oh, yes, about the problem of asking questions. Well, here I'd be going through, let's say, this section, say, lecturing at full speed about Cartesian coordinates and midpoints and distances and Pythagorean theorem. And then it might happen that there's a detail that you don't quite get. It's a little bit fuzzy in your mind. At this point, you'll be visited by two angels, two imaginary beings, the demon of politeness and the angel of rudeness. The demon of politeness will say, don't ask him any questions. You don't really need it. You only look stupid. Everybody else understands it. Don't bother. Don't bother him. After all, it's bound to clear up sooner or later. Well, obviously, that's entirely all lies and falsehoods and self-delusions. But meanwhile, the angel of rudeness will be saying, ask, ask, ask. So ask, because let me tell you, if you ask some really stupid and obvious, embarrassing question, then odds are that at least a dozen other people in the room, in the virtual room, will think, my hero. And besides, usually most of my students' errors or problems are kind of trivial, actually. The conceptual problems are actually fairly easy, but it's the details that sometimes get to people. I like to compare you, my students, to giants whom I'm training to climb a mountain. You have the strength to reach the peak. Don't worry about that part. You're smart enough. Every human being is, in my opinion, well, among the animal kingdom, a genius. That's simply the case. However, we sometimes have little trivial problems. So I like to compare you to the giants with the strength to climb that mountain. But if a tiny little pebble, no matter how small, gets into your shoe, you will limp the entire way. Asking these trivial questions is pebble removing. I like to think of myself as preceding you up the mountain path with a little whisk broom in hand, sweeping away all the pebbles. So therefore, please ask questions. Oh, one particular kind of question is well worth for you to ask. You see, consider this my goose horn. I use it to start the class and announce the end of the class. And I used to use it for an evil purpose, which backfired on me. I wanted to honk people who made stupid mistakes. Well, there I was in front of 30 or so people, and I made a stupid mistake. And someone raised a hand and said, Mr. Hellenstein, 2 + 2 is 4, not 3, right? I looked at the board and, oh my God, I made a mistake. And I felt myself honor bound to commit Hornikiri. And that will be the way it is for this class. If you can catch me making a stupid mistake, I will be obliged to honk myself. I play this game with you for 3 reasons. 1, to keep you wide awake, just to catch me and humiliate me. Great game. I also do it to keep myself wide awake so I don't get caught in something humiliating. And the 3rd reason is as proof and a demonstration to you that if I, who am fallible, can do this stuff, then maybe you can too. So therefore the goose horn, and therefore please catch me out if you can. Anyway, where was I? So yes, about questions and asking questions in class and so on. Let's see now. Right. So let's get on and talk a little bit about what's in the course. This is the intro. No, this is the intro. So okay, here's trigonometry, section 3, times 9 to 11:30. Is that right? Oh no, it's 10:30. I really have to change this. Oh honk. T theta 9 to 10:30. Okay, that was a legitimate mistake. Office hours are 11 to noon Tuesdays, not this Tuesday nor the next, but starting Tuesday the 31st and going on through to the end of the semester or near the end of the semester. So that's more detail to note. Yes. There's my name, Nathaniel Hellenstein. There's an email address or campus mail address. So like I said, I prefer you to use the inbox. The textbook is Trigonometry, 10th edition, Sullivan. Yes, grading, very important. I grade on a scale, not a curve. A scale is you versus the textbook. A curve is you versus each other. So in a scale, the top 90% scorers get the A, and then from there down to 70, the B, and so on down the line. That's versus each other. Versus a scale, I simply grade test your grade, compare your grade to the number of points that you could have gotten and assign accordingly. Under a scale, you theoretically could all get Fs. On a scale, you theoretically could all get A's. If you all get Fs, I should loosen up the next semester. If you all get A's, I should tighten up the next semester. As a matter of practice, I found a workable medium. I do this to encourage co-study because the problem with grading on a curve is that it treats knowledge as a zero-sum commodity, something you have only if the other one doesn't have. Whereas in reality, I find that knowledge is more of a zero difference thing, that you have if and only if the other person does as well. So the scale is like this. If you get 0 to 25%, that's an F. From there to 42 is a D, from there to 67% is a C, from there to 92% is a B, and from there to 100% on up is an A. Since there are extra credit sets, you could theoretically get over the 100%. That's still just an A. The homework it's based mostly on the homework, a little bit on the quizzes, a little bit also on the finals, and I also give extra credit problems and problem sets. Extra credit problems with the homework and independent problem sets. Each homework set covers the material of a chapter, an entire chapter, and it's due on the third session after the chapter is done. So please don't hand in section 1.1 alone. It would have to be section 1.1 through 1.7 all in one go. So the quiz will each cover several chapters. It'll be generally 2 problems per section, and it's due on the 4th section after each chapter of those chapters are done. Each extra credit set, independent extra credit set, covers independent material, and it is due by the end of the semester. The final covers all chapters with 1 problem per section, and it is due by semester's end. As for late homeworks, I give a fairly liberal policy about it. I allow people to hand in homeworks that are late. Within reason, however, please don't abuse this. I've had people hand in a huge load of everything at the very, very last day. Well, that doesn't tend to work. You can't rush this stuff. In practice, the way to learn this stuff is basically get yourself into a work routine where you have where you cover the material of a week on that week. And if you can keep your pace, you will generally be okay. Most of my students' errors will either consist of not handing in the homework at all, or are clerical errors caused by bad writing. I'll say more about that later. Once you do any work, write it up. Oh, yes. Generally, all I require is the answer to the question. Working out the answer is generally not required. There are some exceptions. Some of these problems involve proving identities, that A equals Z. Well, A there, I want you to write down A equals B, here's a proof, B equals C, C equals D, and Y equals Z. So if you set down the steps for a proof of a trigonometric identity, that's required. But usually for the rest, all it requires is the numbers. So write this down and please write it legibly. That's actually most of the work of the course consisting of writing legibly. I'll say more about that later. Mr. Lay, perhaps you should move the camera down so you don't have to stretch to be seen. Anyhow, so write down, scan it, attach the scan to an email, and hand in that email via Canvas inbox. I will grade it, and I will respond to you with a grade by telling you what you got, how many points you got on the problem, and on the problem set, and which problems you got wrong, so as to allow you for having at least one or maybe 2 redos. And that's what I'll be doing. This Canvas site, it contains the home page. You've seen that. We'll go over the modules. It has a syllabus, homework sets, quizzes, extra credit sets, final lecture notes, and links. Every one of these Zoom lectures I will record and link to a Canvas site. There are discussion forums up here, theoretically for your use in talking material with each other. I'd like to see that, though in practice that doesn't really happen that much. There's the inbox I mentioned, and there is a Zoom link. So the Zoom link, City Zoom link to attend lectures. Right, some pro tips for you folks. Please hand in a whole chapter at a time, not a section at a time. I already mentioned that. I usually require only the answers. The exceptions are for deriving identities. Hand in via the Canvas inbox, not my Canvas email where it might get lost. Ah, yes. When you write things down and hand in a homework set, please indicate what your answers are. Circle the answers or highlight them or something that makes me so that I can home in on the answer, see what it is right away. Because, you know, multiply the number of problems I have to do by the number of students in this course, and that's how much work I have to do. Please help me out. In practice, legibility counts. This brings me back to my point about how one of the things that an online course teaches without implicitly teaches is how to work in an online work environment. And I'll tell you, I will be a relatively lenient boss, but even so, you really, really, really don't want to hand in something that makes me start cursing at the screen, because I've done that, okay? I see something, I can't tell what the hell are you trying to say. Ah! I try to be professional and not show my all too human irritation in the works and the grading, but please don't provoke that response, because you might provoke that response in people who later will be you'll be trying to have pay you. So yes, please. And also, like I say, most of my students' errors are clerical, simply bad handwriting, and I find that a just clearly lined up and written out answer set forces you into the clarity of thought that mathematics is designed around. Mathematics has a reputation of being big brain hard stuff that you need a genius to be. That's only half true. Mathematical research is indeed aristocratic. The best can do it, only the best really. But mathematical learning and practice, such as here, is democratic. It's something that anybody can do. Ultimately, math is supposed to be made so simple. Those genius creators have to, their job is to make math so simple that a piece of silicon can understand it. The main difficulty you will have in doing this math is not that it's too hard for your human mind. It's that it's too robotically simple. You have to think down to the level, to the idiotic literal mindedness of a mathematician like me. I've seen it happen zillions of times. Zillion is not an exact number, but still many times, that I would step through the steps of a problem, and someone would say, "Is that it? Is that all I was to it?" Yeah, that was all there was to it. People would overthink it and make it harder on themselves. So that's how that is. Ah, yes, time management. Very, very important. Like I say, make regular study times. Don't make it at 1 a.m. Make them at 1 p.m. Like I said, there is a romantic illusion that math is a kind of genius work that you would have to have the inspiration of your late night dreams to really get at. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that to me, and don't do that to you. Just do it. Try and make it so it's a regular study at a regular time and you're fully awake, and keep pace with the course. Don't try and do last minute saves. And calculators are your friend. This one costs like 120 bucks. There are others costing like 40 or 60 bucks. Absolutely beyond value. It does the worst scut work. There are some questions as to how many figures of accuracy you should have in a problem. Usually there'll be things like, what I ask is like, proper answer is square root of 3, that divided by 2, and you should write those symbols. But sometimes in some of the problems, it's okay to give what that would be, which is 0.8660. 4 or 5 decimals is what I would like to see. 2 is not really enough. 3 is not really enough, and 1, forget it. That's just not right. Then there's a question of rates. This course has 28 sections, including this introduction, and about 30 meetings. Therefore, there will be 1 section per meeting with some review sessions. So that's how it works. If you can't make this, so there's how that works. That's how this course, that's the introduction note. Let's see, modules. Here in this module, there's more information. Here's a video of me, my name, my address, my email. We've seen this before on the home page. There's also, let's navigate to the next section of the module. Course policies. Again, this is more same information, just to keep you in how this works. There's a section here about support for students learning online. There's a Canvas helpline for you to use. There's a learning assistance center, and oh yes, there's a math. There's an online math lab. I'll give you the email for that, the URL for that in the chat section in a few minutes. There's also a virtual campus and so on. So all these I offer to you, and I hope they're of value. All right. Right. Here's some things for you. Just a second, Vega. Just a second. Oh. Where was I? Excuse me, that's not right. That's not what I wanted. Right. Here's a syllabus. This is a downloadable information sheet giving the name and address, times and places and basic information and some bureaucratic stuff about student learning outcomes and the scale. This is what I would hand out on the first day to you students when we were still doing things face to face. And you can download this way and from there print it out as a Word file. Homework, right? Here's the homework syllabus for chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's take a look at these numbers. Can you see anything in common with all these numbers? What do all these numbers have in common? Anyone?
They're even?
They're even. Why?
Because the textbook has all the odd number answers.
That's correct. And it will be the odd numbered problems I'll be reviewing with you in class, the working out, so as to explain the answer at the back of the book. You see anything else that's odd about, curious about all these, about all this? You notice something? I'll tell you what I notice. All these asterisks, almost one or two asterisk problems per section. There are a couple of sections which have an asterisk next to them here, 4, 5, 5, 2, 5, 6, and 5, 7. What do you figure those mean? Any ideas?
Extra credit.
You got it. Extra credit. So for almost every section, there's at least one extra credit problem. Some not so, but pretty much all of them, and a couple with 2. So those are extra credits. So that's how you could, in theory, get more than 100% of a grade. And you'll notice that entire sections, 1, 5, 4, 5, 5, 2, 5, 6, and 5, 7 are extra credit. Those I'll skip over fairly lightly in class, matter of timing. Also because many of these are topics which really should either not be covered at all or have to be covered in a great deal more detail, and they just skim it, and so I do too. So if there's this fits them as extra credit because you could study a great more detail, but they don't have to, so you can do them ad libitum as you wish. Okay, so there's that syllabus homework, right? We'll be mostly working from these modules, 1 per class, usually. So we'll be covering notes like this. These are notes from these are what would normally be lecture notes what we'll be doing when we're doing face-to-face. This semester, I've written them all down and go over the same stuff, but you can print it out later if you wish, and thus free you from the necessity of writing down everything I say. So I'll work from here, and you can print these out if you wish later on. Or you look at the textbook, because again, that's how I work with it. And I do examples, odd numbered examples from the textbook. So there's that. And also, at the end, there are video links. These are video links from 2 previous semesters. Each time, including like this, right now I'm doing video, I'm running video. So I'll be, I'll include a link to the video. So for example, today we're working on, I will, after we're done with this, I will put all the video for that in this here, a link for it here. This is a similar link from previous semester. So if you can't reach, can't be on the, get to Zoom for a synchronous lecture, you could still go to the Canvas site and review it yourself anyhow afterwards. Although, of course, with not as much chances, with no chance to ask questions, which again I encourage. So there's that. What else is there? There's a homepage, modules, Zoom. That's these 3 things are, well, theoretically, the discussions page as well are theoretically what you need. Oh yes, I promised to include something in the chat. Alberto Martinez, when is homework due? Each homework is due on the 3rd class after we finish the given chapter. Although, like I say, I do allow some leeway in handing things in. Oh yes, online math lab. Let me put this down here. One thing I love about the chat item is that it's a legitimate way to pass notes in class, which sounds so illicit, but here on the nowadays in this cyber world is entirely legitimate. Okay, online math lab. Here we go. https://instructure.com/enroll/BMP7TW. Okay. There you go. There it is in chat. You can copy it down and use it if you wish. It's or afterwards, I believe. Oh, what a cute cat. Okay, never mind. Sooner or later, you'll see my 2 cats. Charlie will come up and demand treats, and I'll have to interrupt and throw a treat out the door and close it after him. We have each other well trained. Anyhow, so okay, there's enrollment to the math lab, which might be a good idea. I recommend you try it. And I think that pretty much covers it, doesn't it? Yes. So I'm going to stop recording now.